Chapter 21. Henry. Henry's steps echoed on the wooden floor as he paced back and forth. He tried not to look at the ledger with the red marks as he passed the counter, but it was impossible. It was all he had thought of for days. He hadn't thought the accusation of a newcomer would affect him this badly, but it had, and he didn't know how much longer the store could stay open if that didn't change. Mary had insisted on trying to find the information herself, but he had little faith she would succeed either. After all, the sheriff had found nothing yet. With a heavy sigh, he rubbed his temples, hoping to quell the headache threatening to build in his head. The bell above the door jingled, and Henry looked toward it with excitement, until the figure of Harold Thompson in his meticulously tailored suit crossed through the threshold. An air of superiority accompanied him, and Henry pressed his lips together. Harold was the last person Henry wanted to see, but he would not stoop to Harold's level and be uncivil.
"Hello, Mr. Thompson. What can I do for you?"
Harold's hands were clasped behind him as he scanned the store with a smug smile.
"I was simply checking out the competition, but it appears, Mr. Brown, that you don't have any customers, so maybe there is no longer any competition. People will come back,"
Henry said, tamping down his anger. He pulled his shoulders back, a silent declaration of strength that he did not feel. Harold's lips curled into a malicious grin, and his hands came forward as if offering a gesture of peace.
"Henry, we both know this store's seen better days."
His words sounded sympathetic, but Henry knew it was not only fake, but was masking the undercurrent of his greed.
"You haven't had a customer in days. How much longer do you really think you can keep the store going?" "As long as I have to," Henry said. "Neither Miss Lockwood nor I had anything to do with what happened to Mr. Jones, and when people realize that, they will come back."
He was glad the women had stepped out for lunch so that Harold couldn't harass them. Harold shook his head and chuckled, the sound low and throaty.
"You need to face the facts, Henry. You took a chance on a woman you thought would be like Maggie, and you were wrong. However, I am prepared to offer you a way out."
"You want to offer me the loan now?" Henry asked. "Why?"
Harold chuckled again. "Not a loan, I'm afraid, but I'll offer you a generous sum for this quaint establishment."
Harold's eyes glittered with unspoken mockery.
"Think of it, freedom from debt and the chance to start anew, away from the burdens of a failing business."
Henry's fingers tightened around the edge of the countertop, his knuckles whitening with the effort to maintain composure. How dare Harold deny him a loan and then try to buy him out? It was appalling, and yet he could not deny the thought of being released from the financial shackles tugged at him, whispering sweet promises of relief. But he couldn't. The store was his livelihood and his connection to memories of Maggie. He couldn't give it up. The very thought ignited a fierce protectiveness within him. Exhaling slowly and deliberately, he lifted his gaze to Harold's.
"Harold,"
Henry began, his voice as steady as the unwavering flame of a candle in still air.
"Your offer is generous, but this store is more than just walls and merchandise. It's a testament to my past, a hope for the future. I will not sell it. I'll find a way to save what I've built here." "A way to save it, you say?"
Harold flashed a smile that did not meet his eyes, and his tone was laced with a hint of danger.
"I admire your spirit, Henry, truly, but the path of resistance is fraught with unforeseen difficulties."
His fingers tapped a rhythmic warning on the polished wood, the sound echoing ominously through the quiet room.
"Are you threatening me, Harold?"
Henry's stance was firm, though his heart raced with the threat of Harold's words.
Consider it friendly advice," Harold replied, the malice in his gaze belying his smooth words. "Sage Creek is a small town. Opportunities for salvation are limited, and those who don't seize them might find themselves facing consequences far bleaker than bankruptcy." Henry clenched his jaw, his eyes narrowing at Harold's audacity. Despite the fear that crept into his heart like tendrils of darkness, he refused to let Harold see it. "I appreciate your concern, Mr. Thompson," Henry said, emphasizing the man's last name as Harold had done to him before. "But I have weathered storms before, and I will weather this one too. Sage Creek may be small, but its residents are resilient. We take care of our own." Harold's expression darkened at Henry's words before he masked it with a polite smile. "Very well, Mr. Brown. But remember, offers like this don't come around often, and I might not be so generous next time." He turned and exited the store, the door shutting behind him with a finality that seemed to echo in the quiet room. Henry stood there for a moment, feeling the weight of Harold's words pressing down on him like an unseen force. Then he sank to the stool and lifted his eyes. "Lord, I need your help. Please show me your will regarding the store. If I'm supposed to sell it, make that clear. And if I'm not, then give the sheriff or Mary the information to clear my name." The bell above the door jingled once more, and Elizabeth and Mary entered. But they were not alone. Clyde Seymour came in behind them. "Has something happened?" Henry asked. Mary smiled and stepped toward him. "Clyde says that he has found us information. If it's good, we can clear our names and get your customers back." "I'll say it's good," Clyde said with a hint of indignation. "I don't give bad information, but I do expect to be paid for it." "Don't worry. If your information is good, I have no problem extending you store credit." Henry had balked at first at the idea of paying for information, but if it led to a return of his customers, then he figured it was a small price to pay. "Should we get the sheriff?" Mary asked, looking from Henry to Elizabeth. "Let's see what he has to say first," Elizabeth said, crossing her arms. Henry knew she was remembering her last interaction with the sheriff when he had thought she was responsible for the mischief in the town. "Your thief is none other than Harold Thompson," Clyde said, his chest puffed out in pride. "What? That doesn't make any sense," Mary said. "Didn't he finance the store?" "He did," Henry said slowly, as the pieces clicked into place in his head. "And it makes perfect sense if you want to get rid of the competition. Think about it. Not only would the accusation discredit me, but he wouldn't even lose the supplies. If Harold did it, he probably plans on returning the supplies when I'm out of business." Suddenly, Harold's impromptu offer made more sense. "That is reasonable," Elizabeth said, "but how do you know Mr. Thompson is responsible?" Clyde smiled and stuck out his chest. "Well now, I've been seeing myself a respectable young woman by the name of Beth Davis. She happens to work for the Thompsons and found the stash of stolen merchandise in the basement." "And she's willing to speak out against the Thompsons?" Henry asked. He couldn't believe someone who worked for the most powerful people in the town would be willing to come out against them. "She'll lose her job." "Well, I've asked her to marry me, so she won't need that job anymore anyway," Clyde said with a grin. "Will that be enough for the sheriff?" Mary asked. "I don't know," Henry said with a shake of his head. "But I suppose it's worth asking.